Moodz616 sucks fucking dick. What a fucking asshole, man. I met him at Wasteland. Fucking dickhead. Goddamn. Fuck him, man. Fuck. It looks.
A tisket, a tasket, a bloody basket. Cut his head and ate his leg. Now he's in a casket.
Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome to another random horror review. Today's episode is number 10, Gia. That's how we do it. Alrighty, for today's episode, I'm going to be talking about a film that just recently got released by Anchor Bay. I think it officially came out in 2014. The media was released in 2015. This one is directed by Chad Archibald. He is actually the general manager of Black Fawn Distribution here in Canada, which is really cool. I actually did not even know that he had actually directed this film. So I looked into it. Chad is mostly known for directing Neverlost. It's actually a film I've never seen. I know about the movie, just never checked it out. He also directed a film in 2011 called Kill that was released by Troma. That one I actually have seen and reviewed. I thought it was decent. It's kind of very typical Troma-ish. It's one of their it's a film that, you know, that you'd expect from Troma to release. And he's also got another film coming out by Scream Factory in a couple months called Ejecta, which I'm really stoked about. Chad has also produced tons and tons of other films, some notables being Septic Man, In the House of Flies, and things like that. Some of the Black Fawn distributed films too. So, but with all that said, you know, I was really stoked that, you know, that I'm such a big fan of Black Fawn Distribution. I was really stoked to see his name on this. And anyways, without further ado, the film in question here is called The Drownsman. Yeah, very, very awesome, slick kind of like 80s throwback cover art right there. Very, very cool. But yeah, getting into the plot of this one. Basically centers around your main character, Madison. She one day has an accident out at this lake. And she kind of falls into the water. And something happens in the water. Anyways, her friends pull her out. She almost drowns, and she starts having these kind of visions of this, almost like this supernatural entity. She can't really explain it. She keeps seeing like this odd figure in her, you know, in her dream. Not necessarily in her dreams, but she just keeps having visions of this person. Jump forward a year later, her condition has escalated to the point where she's kind of almost secluded herself from society. She's got such a bad case of hydrophobia, which is, you know, the phobia of water, that she really doesn't even go out or do anything. She can't even look at water. She actually has to take her fluids by IV because she can't even drink it. So ultimately she ends up missing her best friend's wedding. She was supposed to be the maid of honor at her best friend's wedding. Her friends have finally had enough, and all her friends want to do is help her out. So the day after the wedding, they call an intervention for Madison. Madison shows up at this house, and but this intervention is kind of like a fake seance with this fake medium kind of deal. Anyways, all they do, they set up this intervention, and all they do is conjure up this this supernatural entity to the point where it's like full-fledged, and now it's stalking all the girls. And yeah, so that's basically you know, the synopsis of the film right there. So my thoughts on this one. Now, first off, we'll start with the characters. I really like Madison. She's played by Michelle Milett. She's also from Antisocial, another film that Chad Archibald actually produced. I thought she did a really good job in the lead here. All the protagonists in this film are female, which is pretty interesting. I really like the direction that Chad took with this film too, because he didn't make the girls you know, very sleazy or anything like that. He actually kept them, you know, kind of on a level where they're respectable. I think the issue with the characters in this film, though, is that they're all kind of interchangeable. None of the characters really stick out too much to me. They all kind of feel the same. They're not even that they're dislikable, they're just not overly likable either, which is kind of a problem in the film too, because, you know, you want to root for them, but you don't really care a whole lot for them. I think it's due to the fact that most of her friends, which is like another horror cliche, really don't believe that she's having these visions. They feel like everything's all in her head, you know, which is kind of a problem for her. So you have a cliche right there. Sorry, my nose is really itchy. But, you know, you're going to get those type of things. But, you know, I thought the cinematography in this film was shot really well. There's a lot of scenes in this film that are actually pretty well done. But I think a lot of the problems with some of the scenes is that they don't necessarily do exactly what they're supposed to do. I think, you know, visually they're good, but I think the tension isn't always there, and they're kind of cliched, and it's kind of what you expect. It's kind of like, you know, some of the decisions that the characters make too. It's, you know, they're kind of cliched a little bit. But, you know, it is what it is, I guess, on that. But visually, it actually does look pretty good. The acting overall is pretty well done. Like I said, Michelle Milet, she's from Magisol, she did a really great job in this. I think all the girls did a really good job, to be honest. There's only minor males in this film. I think there's only like maybe 2 males in the entire film that even show up on screen, which is kind of interesting. So pretty much all female cast in this one. You know, moving along with the story, I really like the idea of the whole, you know, supernatural slasher element to this, and you know, the fact that, you know, this entity kind of coming out of water and stuff. My initial thought with this one was it basically kind of has like an Elm Street / Final Destination type feel to it. A little more Final Destination, because I feel like this entity is kind of like, you know, almost like death, and it's stalking his prey. So it has that Final Destination feel to it. You know, with that said, I think the way this movie is constructed and kind of moves along, it's a little slow paced, and I also think that there's a little bit of plot holes too. Especially with the character development of the Drownsman himself. You start to learn things as the film goes along. I don't know, man. I think it's a little contrived at times, and I think there is a little bit of plot holes, which is kind of frustrating. I think the last half an hour of this film could have been a lot better. It's supposed to build a lot of tension, but there's things that are happening in the movie that you're like, okay, you know, these girls are kind of getting dragged into this other side, or this other type world, which is kind of where the Elm Street portion of it kind of kicks in a little bit. But you know, visually, you know, if you just kind of turn it off a little bit and you kind of watch it, you're like, okay, that's kind of cool. But when you really kind of think about it and construct the film, there's things that aren't making a lot of sense, which is kind of frustrating a little bit. But you know, overall, it's not a bad watch at all. I think for me, this one just kind of fell right in the middle as being a very kind of, you know, average type slasher film. This one right here is only rated 14A, so I was watching the film going, wow, there's like absolutely like no kind of blood and gore in this film at all. It's more visual and things like that, so, you know, don't expect a lot of blood and gore, but you know, overall, it's not a bad watch. I don't think it was fully for me. I didn't really, you know, by the end of the film, I was kind of like, okay, I found myself kind of predicting things that were going to happen, and sometimes it's not a bad thing. In this case, I was kind of frustrated by the end. I think due to the minor plot holes and lack of character development with the killer, and I don't know. There's just certain characters in this film that bug me too. I found them very overly cliched and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, what can I say? It was an alright watch. I liked the premise. I think it was executed, you know, here and there. It wasn't bad, but the plot holes and just the lack of excitement in the characters too, which kind of detached me from, you know, really kind of cheering for him and getting super involved in the film. So I don't know, that's all I can say. Like I said, visually it looked good. The sound wise, it's really great. I found that the soundtrack and the, you know, kind of the score in the film was okay. Not overly aggressive. It wasn't that memorable either. But, you know, it's a pretty decent offering from Chad Archibald, to be honest. I'm really looking forward to his next film, Ejecta. So, but with that said, if I had to rate this one, I'm probably just going to give it a bare pass here. It's pretty average, and I'm going to give it about a 5.5 out of 10. Nothing overly special. You know, this one definitely might be for more people out there. For me, myself, I don't know, it didn't fully work for me. You know, this one right here is most likely going to have a sequel to it. Like I said, I don't want to give anything away about it. You know, certain scenes and stuff, like, don't get me wrong, there was some certain scenes in this film I really did enjoy, but just as a whole, I just felt it kind of fell flat for myself. But, you know, it is what it is. Great cover art, though, I have to say. But yeah, 5.5 out of 10. You know, check it out. You know, it's definitely worth it. I think a lot of people will enjoy this one. So, yeah. That's going to do it for episode 10 here, guys. Hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll check you guys in episode 11 soon. Got a bunch more reviews coming, so stay tuned for those. Peace out, homies.